Welcome to Secrets Out Idaho. Each week, we let you in on the secrets of Southern Idaho and speak to the people who make it such a unique hidden gem. I'm your host, Connie Stouffer. On this week's episode, we'll hear what it's like to grow up in a family of cowboys in Southern Idaho. They'll share what it's been like running their own business, their favorite things to do, and what makes life here so great when we talk to 3 generations of the Young family, Mickey, Josie, and Bodie. This is the final episode for Season 2. Be sure to subscribe so you'll be the first to hear more Secrets Out Idaho when we return from the break. Mickey and Josie Young, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I'm really excited to hear about your story and to learn more about you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Wonderful. So I'll just have each of you tell me a little bit about yourselves.
Okay, my name is Mickey Young. I came here from Utah in 1980. At that time, I was rodeoing, and I had been up through this area a few times, and I liked what I seen, so I came here.
What did you like about the area at that time?
Well, I've learned to like it a lot more for what's here, but at that time, what impressed me the most was the people. Mm-hmm. I got a warm and fuzzy, if you will, every time I was here. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I rodeoed, so I was at Jerome and Gooding and Filer, and I spent a few times through here, you know, and when I was looking for a place to move to that was closer to an airport, I started looking at this area and made an offer on a couple of places, finally found a place in Jerome and bought a place there, and we've lived in this Magic Valley for 40 years now.
Amazing. So tell me a little bit about your rodeo career.
I started rodeoing when I was 13. That's when I made the decision. That's what I wanted to do for a living. And then when I was 24, I guess, I qualified for my first national finals rodeo. And I went back a few times, and I called home right here in Southern Idaho. Jerome, Idaho was my home through most of that.
Mm-hmm. I think it was more than a few times, right? You've been several, right?
Yeah, I went 11 times in the bareback riding, and then when I got in the stock contracting business, of course, then I had horses and bulls that qualified for the finals, so I went back a few times that way too. Mm-hmm. And then I was picked one year for the pickup men at the finals, so I've been there a few times. That's
pretty exciting. And we interviewed another rodeo bareback rider in a previous season, Cash Bilson, and he kind of was telling us about the Gooding rodeo and how great that one is. From your experience and doing rodeo all over the country, what are some of the things that make the rodeos in this area really good?
Well, they've always been kind of good rodeos, but they've recently stepped up to the plate, and they're making them great rodeos. Now, Gooding is one that's a tour rodeo this year, so it's one of the top rodeos in the country. And so, they've done an amazing job over there. Filer does a great job. Jerome does a great job. There's some nice rodeos right here in this valley.
Awesome, wonderful. I'm going to turn it over to you, Josie, now to tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised right here in this valley. Like I said, my dad come here in 1980. I was born in 1982, and I was born and raised in Jerome. And then about halfway through my senior year, my parents moved to Buell, and I finished out my high school in Jerome. And then right out of high school, I left and I moved to California. Well, actually, I went to Idaho State for a little bit, and then I decided that I wanted to go do something outside of school and just kind of let loose for a while. So I went to California for 2 years and worked on a place out there training roping horses. And I decided that I wanted to be back in Idaho. So I come back here and I started rodeoing full time, and I rodeoed for 16 years or 17 years probably, I guess. And now I'm retired. I got 2 kids and a wife, and I'm just enjoying being home and being right here in Idaho.
Awesome. So was there something about your time in California that made you realize you wanted to come home? Was there anything in particular?
Well, I just, I'm used to, I was in a small town in California. It was a farm and ranch community in California, and I met some great people over there. But there's nothing like Idaho to me. Like this was home. I feel like the connection to the people here is just even better, and I like to be able to go to the mountains and if I want and take the horses out and do that and hunting, fishing, and just enjoying Idaho as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
So, and to raise my kids here, I love the small town feel, but there's a lot to do here now. There's still getting to be, the shopping's, stepping up, and there's a lot more stores to go to and stuff. But, it's just, you still have that integrity of the people as a whole. Mm-hmm. There's everywhere you go, there's still going to be a bad apple in the bunch. But anyways, I like it. So.
That's awesome. So did you do similar events that your dad did in rodeo?
Yeah, I did. I rode bucking horses as well. And I didn't have quite as good a career as he did, but I did qualify for the National Finals Rodeo, and I qualified for the Canadian National Finals. They only take 2 Americans up there each year, and
wow.
So I was fortunate enough to do that, and it was fun when I qualified for the Canadian Finals, because when my dad was rodeoing, they didn't allow any Americans to go.
Oh, wow.
The Americans could rodeo up there, but you had to be Canadian to qualify for their finals. And so it was fun. I took my dad and my mom and my son Bodie and my wife Hannah at the time. We all went up there to the Canadian finals, and my dad got to reconnect with some of his old Canadian buddies he hadn't seen for a while. So that was pretty cool. But I've competed on all the big stages and stuff, but I also worked the team roping event as well, and I was kind of known for being one of the few cowboys that worked both ends of the arena. Mm-hmm. And I've always enjoyed to rope, and I still rope to this day. We roped this morning, actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we rope every day, and it's kind of what me and my dad's deal. That's kind of how we, some fathers and sons go golfing, and we go roping.
That sounds fun. So is Bodie gonna do rodeo, you think?
I don't know. Are you gonna rodeo, Bodie?
It's one thing about a boy at 7 years old raised
type.
around here. He brought his own interpreters. Yeah, he's got 2 interpreters at 7 years old. That's pretty cool.
It is.
He's a tough kid. He don't say a whole lot, but he loves to build stuff. He'll stay. This morning we were roping, and he was on the back of a welding truck I got out there, and you could just hear him pounding on something. He was over there building something. So. That was pretty cool.
Lots of fun activities, I think, and opportunities for young, active kids, I think, whether they're wanting to do rodeo or ranching or farming or just be out doing adventures. I think it's pretty cool.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is like where we live, there's 60 acres right there. There's 3 live streams on our place. We got a big pond, lots of horses, and just to be able to have that here, I mean, there's not a lot of places you can go and still get that, and just to be able to have my kids raised on that is pretty awesome. They go off and create adventures and build forts and play in the creeks and stuff, so it's fun.
Yeah, and I think the nice thing too is that you have that kind of idyllic Western kind of lifestyle out there, but you're also close to amenities. So if they want to play soccer or go to the movies or things, you're not an hour drive from being able to do all of that, which is pretty cool too.
For sure.
They love getting in the trees and playing, making forts and making trails around through the trees. And we're blessed with a lot of Russian olives down there. I've spent 10 years taking trees out and trying to get a place where they didn't have forts everywhere, but there's still lots of places for them to play and connect with nature, if you will. So, yeah, they have a great time there.
That's awesome. So I also wanted to talk to you guys about the business you guys started, which sounds like it's kind of started from your kind of passion for rodeo and animals and things like that. Do you want to tell me a little bit about how that got started?
Well, the business actually sprung out of a totally separate deal. My mother was a naturopath and helped a lot of people with their health and so on, and used herbs and things that nature provides to help these people get feeling better. She had some experiences with the doctors, and it had caused her a lot of money and a lot of time in her life, and many great heartaches. And she finally found a lady that was a naturopath and got her feeling good for the first time in years, and that made her turn her attention to that. She said, I got to know about this. I want to know more. And so through the years, then she became quite proficient at the art of healing herself. And so she helped lots of people. My dad at the same time was a range rider for the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management. And his job was to know what plants the animals used, what time of year they used it, what the effects were on them. And so he knew a lot about the plants that was being used in the homeopathic approach. And so when I came along, as my rodeo career was winding down, a lot of people was approaching my mother and asking her what to do for the horses and dogs and sheep and goats and turtles and whatever it was. And she would refer them to me, and I would come to town and go in her supply room and mix up what these people needed and send it off to them. And as time went, it just got to where that occupied so much of my time that I couldn't do much of anything else. Because of the time it took to supply these needs. And so we finally just decided it was time to just make a business out of it. And now, all these years later, it's going very well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I hadn't heard about it until I was talking to a mutual friend of ours who's also into rodeo, Brandy Turnipseed. And I was telling her about how my dog had been really sick for a long time, and she told me about you guys and how she had a horse with some health issues and couldn't figure out how to get him better and use some of the herbs that you guys use, and was turned around a completely different horse and a lot better. And so it's one of those things that I think a lot of people, they try to keep their animals and pets healthy, and sometimes they just can't figure out what's wrong because they can't tell you what's wrong or how they're feeling. And I think sometimes having another approach can be a good thing for people to try.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I haven't had a vet bill now for 36 years.
Oh, wow.
And I had a professional rodeo company for 10 of those years, and we've raised lots of baby calves and different things. Like when Josie was roping, I couldn't afford to buy the really nice calves, so I'd buy the cheap ones that a lot of people thought was going to die, and I never lost a calf in all those years of buying those cheap, quick calves. I didn't lose any, and so I've put it to the test. But you think about it, the maker of the animals made the feed for them, and if we let them access it, it just works.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much the basis of our business, is just letting giving access back to what we fenced them away from when we put the fences up. A lot of times we fence them away from what they would naturally access.
That's interesting how kind of nature probably just meant to provide for them, and we kind of inadvertently kept them from what they meant to need.
Yeah, and if we all went through a buffet, if all four of us went through a buffet, every one of our plates would look different, because we have a connection with what it is that our body needs. And when we see it, we say, yeah, that's what I need. And that doesn't mean we're supposed to fill our plate with chocolate cake and ice cream
that's
either.
What I would do.
But I mean, from time to time, that's good too. I mean, everything serves its purpose, and moderation in all things is a really, really good statement. So anyway, we try to kind of live by that. And if you watch a horse graze or a dog that's in the wild eat, they eat varieties. They don't eat just one thing.
Interesting. So your company's called Silver Lining Herbs. And when did you guys kind of officially launch your business? I know your mom was doing kind of homeopathic stuff before, but when did you guys really launch this new endeavor?
Well, it was, I guess, officially launched the day I started putting herbs in packages, but and sending them off to people. But I guess when we first got our first trifoals and put a phone number on it and so on was 1999.
Wow.
And so we're 20 years this year.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just released a video about my dad celebrating 20 years just recently, like last week? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so.
Yeah. And so are you seeing that it's a lot of like ranching kind of customers, or are you seeing them kind of across the board, like typical residential pet owners and stuff too?
Yeah, you get all walks.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling Chance, he's in charge of our sales. Me and him answer a lot of the calls and questions that come through the office now. And I get so many people that call me these days with mini horses.
Oh, really?
Like miniature horses.
Yeah.
And, I feel like there's so many people that they just care so much about that. I mean, they have one horse or two horses or something that's, they're literally like part of the family, you know? So, and then you get your performance horse people, and then obviously your ranchers and stuff like that. But a lot of the ranchers, as a whole, their horses are kicked out where they can graze and get that variety a lot. So that's not our biggest market, but yeah, our performance horse world's probably on the top of the heap.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I had called Chance because I didn't know what to get, because I was looking through there was different things that I'm like, this might work or this might work, and he was really helpful. I kind of told him what was wrong with my dog, and he said, that this might be a good option for you, and so he was super helpful. And so I think that's nice for people who maybe haven't tried this kind of sort of remedy for their pets, because he was fantastic to kind of answer my questions and help me out. So.
Well, that's the thing. People call in and they're amazed that they actually get a person on the phone to talk to, or if like we answer emails, they're like, wow, is this a real person? You don't get that these days. We try to keep things real personal, I guess, like where our customers have a good experience, because ultimately our number one goal here is to help horses and dogs, and we honestly want to spread the word of what we know into the consumer so that we can help the horses and dogs. And it's been working, just connecting with the people. So
yeah. And you guys it's based in Buell, right? The business.
Yep.
And so how many is it, just family operation, or do you have, there's Chance as well, but how many employees do you guys have out there?
I think at this point there's 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. That's counting everybody.
Yeah, everybody.
That's counting the people that clean the building and everything. But it's, the people that's with us have been with us for a long time. We've hired really good people, and Lori and I, or Josie, can drive out and leave the business to those there and not worry a bit about it, because they are good people. Yeah. And I think that's probably a key in any business. If you have good people, first of all, don't micromanage them. Either don't hire them, or else believe in what they can do and what they do. And if they do it, then let them do it. Yeah. And it's worked really well for us.
That's good. That's great to hear. We work with a lot of companies, and especially when it's hard there's not a lot of people looking for work right now, but we always try to tell them that when you do find someone to hire, they're usually hard workers. And I think it comes from a lot of people in this area have a farming or ranching background where you have to be hard workers, and it just kind of instills that kind of attitude into people here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the farm and ranch background is irreplaceable. I don't think you can learn to work that hard for as little money as people do on farm and ranches, and they're salt of the earth kind of people. And I, like I said in my opening comments, the thing that attracted me to this area was the people. Without anybody knowing who I was, I guess they knew who I was, but the lady at the bank had a daughter that was doing queening for rodeos, and she was the manager at the bank in Jerome, and she gave me a loan for $40,000 on my signature.
Oh, wow.
I had never banked in their bank or anything. She just knew that I was good for it, and I paid it back, and everything was good, but it was just amazing that I could find that, in an area that I was brand new to, and the people were that good for me. So I've always enjoyed Idaho.
That's amazing. That's really great. I want to turn a conversation a little bit to things that you're doing when you're not running the business, when you're not rodeoing, when you're not working on the property. What do you guys like to do for fun when you're out and about?
Do you want to go?
Well, I just got back from Bear Lake. I drove down there, my wife and myself. I have an aunt that's 86 years old, and we took 3 kayaks down, and she took one of them, and we took the other 2 and went out on the lake and just played. And
I hope I'm still kayaking when I'm 86.
My wife said, Norma, you are exactly like you was when I met you. And we was staying there when Josie's older sister was getting ready to enter the world, and I was rodeoing full time, and that was 40 years ago. Shayna just turned 40. Well, the 19th of August, so she hadn't turned 40 yet. We celebrated it already. So, but anyway, 40 years ago, and still, she gets around. She walks 2 or 3 miles a day, and just cleans the house and She drives from southern Utah up to Bear Lake by herself. Just does like she's always done.
Is she got? Are there's like a set of herbs or something she's taking that's like a secret to that? Because I want to get some of those.
Well, yeah, there's herbs that help a lot of things and about everything. She had some issues here 2 or 3 years ago, and we got her on some herbs and got that cleaned up, and she's doing awesome. I mean, she's just really
that's
an
amazing.
Inspiration. Yeah.
And Bear Lake is beautiful. It's a gorgeous place, especially it's like a little. Kind of like going to the ocean without going to the ocean with the beach and the warm blue water there. And it's beautiful. Yeah,
it was really nice over there. The wind come up the second day. She wouldn't venture out in the kayak because the waves were filling the kayak up, and she didn't want to get her pants wet.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
What about you, Josie? What do you like to do?
I like to be in the outdoors. I mean, we've bought a toy hauler here a couple of years ago, and so I just went and got it just 3 weeks ago. I'd been at our place in Arizona, and so we hadn't had a chance to go camping yet this year. We've been so busy, but when we get that chance, I like to take the family and get out. My wife, I call her a glamper because I don't mind taking the horses and going back in and actually camping, but she likes her amenities. So no, we'll go up there and enjoy that. Obviously hunting season's coming up, and I like to go do that gig a little too. So, snowboarding, we go skiing and snowboarding. Yeah. Idaho offers some good spots for that. We like to. My wife has got a huge family, so a lot of times when we get some vacation time, we go see her family and hang out there a little bit. But traveling, I mean, we like to travel. Me and my wife we've been to Mexico a few times, and place down there now I'm getting a
Dominican or the Puerto Rico?
Yeah, Dominican.
Yeah.
So we've been down there, and obviously we've traveled around Canada and stuff like that, but my wife's wanting to travel a little more too.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's just kind of fun seeing what the culture's like in different places. Mm-hmm. It's always really, really nice when you get back home, though. Mm-hmm. It's nothing like home. But no, and then also we like to, me and my wife like to go to nice dinners and stuff every once in a while.
Yeah, where are your favorite places to go out?
Our go-to places in Twin. Mm-hmm. So our 2 favorite lunch spots are Anchor. Mm-hmm. Anchor Bistro.
I really like their patio out there. That's nice.
Yeah, so everybody knows us first name basis when we walk in there, just because we're there a lot for lunch. And also Slice. I really like Slice. So those are our 2 go-to spots if we go to lunch.
Yeah.
Dinner spots, like Rock Creek. Mm-hmm. Rock Creek's an oldie but a goodie. Elevation is a great spot. Getting the view and everything. I don't think there's a spot in Twin with a better view than Elevation. So anytime somebody new comes in, we always go to Elevation because it's like, all right, you want to wow them,
Yeah.
So yeah, those are kind of spots. Obviously, Jakers is a great spot too. So those are kind of our go-tos.
Those are all good ones.
Yeah.
So is your wife from the area?
No, she is from north of Seattle.
Oh?
Yeah, so a little town called Arlington, Washington. Mm-hmm. I met her. I was competing at the rodeo at Ellensburg, Washington, and she was there on a girls' trip.
Yeah.
It was her very first rodeo. Run into her and met her there, and she's been to thousands of rodeos now. So.
What was her feelings on moving from Ellensburg's a fairly small town, but it's close to Seattle. What was her thought on moving here to Idaho?
So it was rough. It was tough on her, and she's got all of her friends were girlfriends that she had since she was little, and they're like a really tight knit group, and like I said, her family's huge. There's literally at Christmas and you'll just go to a random Sunday afternoon family get together and there'll be like 30, 40 people there. It's crazy because I'm not used to that,
Yeah.
But so it was rough. It was hard on her, and she didn't have any girlfriends here, and now she's got some girlfriends, and it's easier now because she can, go hang out. And girl talk with her girlfriends, but so, and her parents come down quite a bit, travel down, but yeah, it's
growing on her.
It's growing on her.
Yeah. How long has she been here with you? Like, how long has that been?
Almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years.
Yeah. So it's been, we're almost that 10-year itch.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's grown on her.
That's awesome. So what kind of things, so you said she likes to glamp. What are other things she likes to do?
She loves just getting together with her girlfriends, you know, and she's a shopper. I'm not going to lie there, but she likes to shop online too, because she's a Nordstrom shopper.
Oh yeah. We don't have a Nordstrom.
So, anybody with influence in the Valley want to bring a Nordstrom in here?
Save on some of that shipping.
Yeah, this is a shout out for my wife. So no, she loves to do her shopping, and she likes to take the kids and go do the fun parks around the valley and stuff like that. The First Federal Park over here
it's amazing, right?
It's a cool little park for the kids.
Yeah.
So she just kind of like, she doesn't hunt or anything like that. It's kind of weird. Everybody's like, she doesn't hunt or fish, or she doesn't like to rodeo or ride horses. I was like, hey, opposites attract, I guess.
It's true, yeah.
So, and it's nice because me and my buddies talk about that, and I see them squabbling with their girlfriends about how they should ride their horses or whatever.
I'm sure that doesn't go well.
I was like, I don't have to deal with that at all. I ride my horses the way I want to ride them. We don't have to share the tack room and nothing like that, So it's nice in that aspect, and I will say that she does provide a nice meal every night, and the house is spick and span. So she does a good job in her areas for sure.
That's awesome. So how old are your kids?
So Bodie's 7. He'll be 8 in September.
Exciting.
And then I got a little girl her name's Charlie, and she is 5 and will be 6 in November.
Awesome. And what do they like to do?
They like to, Bodie, he's my dad's sidekick. Because I leave and go to the office every day, and they get to hang out. And he likes to build stuff. They're starting to like to ride the horses quite a bit. They each, they've got a lot of different horses to choose from. And Charlie, she likes to ride. She loves petting on them and brushing them and riding them and stuff like that. And she says she wants to be a barrel racer, so we'll see what she wants to do. Yeah, so, but they just love to, like when they're at home, they're always outside playing in their forts or building stuff. I bought my little girl a dog that kind of totes her around. He's a big old lab. Yeah. And he was a puppy when she got him a year ago, but now he's a big dog and kind of packs her around everywhere. We still have to hook that dog up to the wagon like I used to do when I was a little kid, Bodie. I used to hook my dogs up to my little red wagon and drive them like a team of horses.
They'd go where they wanted to go, though.
Yeah.
I'd go with them.
That sounds like a fun. And I think that's the kind of childhood that a lot of people wish they could have for their kids, where they're outside and they're not on screens all the time, and they're just out exploring and having adventures and being kids. And I think it's so great that here in Idaho you can do that. It's more accessible than if you live in a big city. You don't really have options to go out and do that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of things that people can do if they'll take the time, and I think these devices and social media and so on has stolen the minds of a lot of the adults, and shame on them for that. I think they need to look around when them kids are with them. They need to set them down and give the attention to the children, and learn from them kids. I mean, that's one thing I know as a grandfather is I was busy when my kids were small, and I missed a lot of the stuff. I mean, they was with me all the time, but I was just blowing and going to try to make a living, and I missed a lot of stuff that was really, really priceless. And so I don't want to do that with my grandkids. I want to see the stuff that's and I want to get a hold of some of that stuff that's priceless. So.
Yeah, I think it's great that you get to spend every day with them, out having fun and exploring and having a good time.
Yeah, we spend a pretty good amount of time together, and both Josie's kids are right there, and so on. But Charlie, when it comes right down to it, she'd rather go shopping with her mom than hanging out with Bodie and Grandpa.
Yeah, different strokes, different folks.
she will change her clothes 20 times a day if you let her. And she cut her own hair the other day.
Oh, how'd that go?
Mama was not impressed. Mama was not impressed at all. But she actually did a very good job for
her first go at it.
She cut her bangs off.
Right across. Oh.
And she cut it. I mean, she did a really good job. So it could have been a lot worse. But yeah, I forgot to add too on my wife is that she is very dedicated to her running. She runs 8 miles every day.
Oh my gosh.
Every single day.
Yeah.
I mean, we can get home at 3:00 in the morning. She'll be up at 5:30 running 8 miles.
That is dedication.
It's ridiculous. I don't know how she does it. So, yeah, she's pretty dedicated to that.
Yeah.
So.
And I bet it's nice being out where you guys are. So you have lots of there's not traffic and stuff. It's probably really pretty out there for her to get those 8 miles in.
Well, I scared her about 8 years ago, and so she will only run on a treadmill now.
Oh, well, she... Is there more to that story?
Well, yeah. I told her, I mean, I just wanted her to be careful, because where she was running was at our old place in Kimberly, and there was something going on. I don't remember what was going on, but maybe I heard on the news in Eastern Idaho or something that they were looking for a guy that got out of prison or some freaking thing. I don't remember what it was, but I was like, she was running this a 6 mile block, and when she'd run out of the place, I couldn't see her when she was on the back 3 miles or something like that. So I always said, at least pack some protection with you or something, just in case there is a predator or something.
Yeah.
And she says, it's too bulky in my hands. So I says, well, pack some pepper spray or something. She would never do it. So a buddy of mine come over, and I was looking for a work truck to have around the house. So he comes over when she was gone, and this truck was real shady looking. And I says, come on, let's take it for a test drive. So I drove by her and then stopped on the road in front of her, and she took her earphones out and stopped and was looking at me and stood there, and then I just put it in reverse, and she took off running across the field.
Oh, jeez.
And so needless to say, I scared her, but I also wanted to kind of put her in the situation at the time so she could learn from it. But I guess I just scared her from running on the road is all I did.
So, well, I'm glad she didn't give up running altogether, because that would have been sad. I probably would have been pretty upset.
She does run outside when we're in certain areas.
Yeah.
So, but at home, there's so many hills and stuff too, and blind corners that it's kind of dangerous because we live in the mouth of Mellon Valley.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of hard to run on the road because you don't know if there's a car coming or something like that. So she does that.
Yeah.
So
no, I was getting into running, and my husband got me this light that you strap onto you, it's like a chest light and mace and a whole thing. And I'm like, I'm gonna just be I'm gonna have too much stuff. And he's like, I just want you to be safe out there. And I was like, I'm going to be a hazard out there. I'm blinking. I'm at pepper spray. The whole thing. So
that's how they train the Marines.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Just well go to Camp Pendleton for the summer.
Exactly. That's what I should do.
Yeah.
So I have a question about you guys running the business, because you guys have been doing it for 20 years, and we talked to a lot of folks who've maybe been in business for a while or who are just starting a business. Do you have any tips or suggestions for people who are maybe thinking about starting a business, or what worked for you guys and what's contributed to your success?
Well, like I said, our business started pretty grassroots, and I was driving truck and hauling cattle for people. I was breaking horses. I was trading horses. I was doing lots of different things to try to make a living. And this kind of just sprung up as a result of us taking care of a need. So I would suggest that people would find a need. Maybe it's something that's already being done but isn't done well. Maybe it's something that it's your own idea, but whatever it is, you need to take care of it. Our customer service is almost equal to our quality of our products, but those are the two things people are always saying to us. Man, that's a nice product, and I can't believe your customer service. Over the top. They always get a hold of somebody. They can always talk to somebody. That they've got. We've got our personal phones on our brochures and stuff, so that if it's Christmas Day and they've got a horse issue or a dog issue that they need help with, need somebody to talk to, they can call us and we'll walk them through it. And so our customer service is impeccable, and I think that my mother used to say something that was profound. She said a business is like a wheelbarrow. It's great as long as you're pushing it. You ever quit pushing it and it'll stop. And so we take care of our business. Every day is a growing experience, and there's growing pains. But that's a good problem to have, and that's kind of where we're at right now. When we first moved to Buell, I built the house that we live in, and I built a big room downstairs where we first started putting this product together. It wasn't long till we'd outgrown that room, and we moved into the garage. And it wasn't long till we moved out of the garage into a building that I built in the yard. And I built it for a horse facility, and also the other end was just dedicated to the herb business. Wasn't long till I took the horses out and cemented the floor and put air conditioning and heat in there. And that building was all for the herbs. And then it wasn't long after that we moved out of there into a big building in town. And now we're looking at needing to build another building there.
Wow.
So it just, we just keep taking care of it and helping it grow when we can. And, Josie coming on and working with Chance and our videographer, Jessica, has been a really good thing. More people are hearing about it now than probably before. But, the business has just grown because it's a good business, and we've taken care of it. We keep pushing on it. We don't try to make it bigger than it can be, faster than it can be there.
Yeah.
I don't care about getting into big box stores that can order $1 million worth of product and then send it back to you and hurt you.
Yeah.
I would rather go directly to the customers that we can help and appreciate that help, and it just grows. And it's grown very well that way.
No, I think that's smart. I've worked with some companies, and some do that like slow but steady kind of growth. And I've seen others that have had an opportunity to grow really, really fast, and so they do. And then all their other processes don't work well. Like they have to hire a whole bunch of people, and they don't have the time to hire the right people and put new processes and protocols in place to do all these bigger. It just makes things harder, and then they struggle because they try to grow faster than they were meant to. And so I think that slow and steady approach is probably pretty wise for a family business that you guys want to kind of keep manageable.
Well, it certainly worked for us, and it's like I said, the business is really good because we see all parts of it, and if there's anything that's not right, we address it and move on from there, and it's just worked really well.
That's awesome.
I think, and also just having a passion for what we're doing. We want to be able to help the horses and dogs, and I think with any business, as long as you have the passion, if you find a need for what somebody needs, and then you have a passion for that as well, because there's going to be points and times in business where things aren't going your way, and it's going to be tough, and you got to have a passion for it to be able to stick it out, to see it through. So, and that's one thing that my dad has had through this whole process is he refuses to stray off of the path of his vision. And he's got a big in his office, he's got a sign that says "Do the right thing," and he's just lived by that. And so it's cool, because if the right thing, I've seen sometimes where the right thing to do means him losing money, but it's always paid him back in the end, because he did the right thing. And so I think if people always do that too, always do the right thing. Don't try to do something that that could potentially hurt you, because it might be easier right now, and it's the wrong thing to do, it'll hurt you somewhere down the road, I promise you. So that too.
Yeah. And I had a question. Where does the name Silver Lining Herbs come from? What was the inspiration for the name?
I don't know where that come from, but when I was about 14 years old, my dad had a mare that he got some colts out of, and one of those colts he gave me to break. Well, he gave me all three of them to break, and I got two of them broke. The other one bucked me off every time he tried it. But the one, she was sorrel in color, and I called her Silver Lining. And I'd forgot about that until years later. My dad mentioned it to me a few years ago. He says, "You remember that?" He said, "What is it?" Because when I had my rodeo company, I named my rodeo company Silver Lining Rodeo Company. Oh. And we actually put the first rodeo on at the Western Days here in Twin Falls.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And anyway.
Isn't that how Western Days began?
Western Days had been going for a couple of years, and they wanted to put a rodeo with it. And we was trying to get our professional rodeo card at the time. And so some of the guys that we had connections with in the city asked us if we'd be interested in doing something like that. And it just came at a real opportune time, because I had to bring in some new rodeos to get my professional rodeo card. And so it worked really well. But anyway, my rodeo company was Silver Lining Rodeo Company. I sold that in 1991, and the guy I sold to didn't want the name. Oh. I said, good enough. And so when we had our herb company, I said, we're going to roll that name right on in. And so it's just kind of, I guess, I don't know where it come from, but it's we joke all the time, because real frequently somebody will say, well, that's the silver lining to that. You know? And I'll say, free advertisement.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
So it's fun. It's a fun name, and it's a it indicates that there's better out there. Yeah. Let's find it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good connection too, because you guys are trying to find better health for horses and dogs, and if you can find that silver lining and having that bad health experience, I think that's always nice. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is where I ask you guys your super secret spots that people should check out if they haven't been to Idaho before, or if they're thinking about moving here. Where's a secret spot that people should know about in the area? And I told you didn't have to share your best one, but...
Can you keep a secret?
I won't tell anybody.
So can I. So I'm going to keep my secret.
What about you, Josie?
I mean, there's so many good spots, but like if people are wanting to, in the summer, I guess maybe Box Canyon, Blue Heart. Blue Heart's one of those things that always amazes me, just because the Snake River, in the canyon, it's kind of got that, milky, brownish color to it, and then you go into this cove, and it's just natural spring water, and it's deep and it's cold, and you can see all the way to the bottom. It's just a cool place to hang out.
Yeah, and the water is blue, and it's really beautiful.
Yeah, like when it's a hot summer day, it's fun to get on a kayak and just go back in there, or on a boat or whatever, It's a good spot to hang out.
Yeah.
So,
and that is one of those secrets. We just released a video about Blue Heart this last week, and then someone commented that they had lived here for 20 years and didn't know that it was there. And so it is a little bit of a little secret here.
and then what's the? It's been a few years since I've been there, and I can't remember the name, but over there by the Oasis truck stop, where you have to park in a field, and then you have to walk through a couple of farmers' fields, and climb off the edge of the canyon a little bit, and there's a secret lake, and this is going to be so secret because I can't even think of the name.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
So you kind of hike back in there about a half a mile, and there is a little pond or lake, and it's deep, and it's a lot like Blue Heart, and it's cold. It's got natural springs that come into it, and me and my buddies used to go down there, especially when we were sore from riding bucking horses and stuff. We'd go there and soak our riding arms in the spring water.
Yeah.
But you can also cliff dive off that, and it's so cold, like you go so deep when you cliff dive that it just takes your breath away, like trying to get to the surface. But I had heard that National Geographic went out there at one point in time, and they couldn't find the bottom. Like it was so deep that they dove as deep as they could dive. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it is a pretty cool place to go because there's not a lot of traffic over there. You kind of got to know where it's at.
Yeah.
So there's a secret spot for you.
Yeah, we'll have to see if we can figure out where that is, or maybe it's just going to be one of those secrets, and people are just going to have to find a local that knows where to take them.
Awesome. This whole Snake River Canyon is kind of a paradise. You know, I was down at the golf course in Buell one time, and I seen a license plate as I was putting my golf clubs back in my pickup. I seen a license plate there from New Jersey, and the guy was just getting there or just leaving, and I struck a conversation with him, and I said, "So, New Jersey, how in the world did you find this Buell, Idaho?" And he said, "You know, this is the best kept secret in the world." He said, "This is a phenomenal golf course right here right here on the Snake River." He said, "It's amazing." He said, "I come through here 2 or 3, 4 times a year," and he said, "I always figure a day to come here and golf."
Really?
And so, you know, and there's a lot of those kind of places along that Snake River. I'm just, you know, it's a wonderful place.
I gotta say too, the creamery in Buell. Bodie, what's the name of the creamery in Buell? Where the ice cream is? Where's Grandpa take you to get ice cream? Today. He's like, "Are we going today?"
What's the name of that creamery?
Tell him the name.
Cloverleaf?
Clover.
Clover there in Buell is an awesome place to stop. Bodie and I and Charlie stop there once in a while and get us an ice cream.
Yeah, it is really good. We had some business clients that came in for a visit, and we drove out there specifically just to get them ice cream and to bring it back over for them because it's the best you'll find in the area. Cloverleaf is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, and we were talking to somebody else, too, that they were out somewhere, like in California or something for vacation, and they were having some ice cream somewhere, and they had struck up a conversation with people next to them, and they were like, "This is really good." And they're like, "It's good, but it's not as good as the ice cream from Buell." And they're like, "What do you mean?" Like, they were from here, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "Cloverleaf Creamery. It's famous. It is really good."
Yeah.
So.
For sure.
That's awesome. Is there anything else I haven't asked you guys that you want to share, either about Silver Lining Herbs or life in Idaho, or just anything that people should know if they're thinking about coming to Idaho?
Well, don't come to Idaho to try to change it. Come here to live like we live, and everybody's welcome.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I can't improve on that. I just, you know, as a kid, I was always offered whatever I wanted to do, whether it was, you know, any sort of sport or, you know, I chose rodeo and boxing, and I did a little bit of wrestling and a little bit of football. But I had opportunity to do whatever I wanted, and I think that's what's cool is you can have the country lifestyle and you can choose to do whatever you want here. Idaho offers everything, so I like it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the show. I really enjoyed talking to you and learning more about your business and rodeo and life in Idaho, so I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Connie.
Of course.
Thanks for listening to Secrets Out Idaho. You can follow Southern Idaho Economic Development on social media or visit southernidaho.org to learn more. Please take a moment to leave a rating and review and subscribe so you can be the first to hear more Secrets Out Idaho. Until next time.